The crisp October morning held a deceptive tranquility as Dolores Hutchinson stood frozen in her kitchen doorway, her trembling hand clutching a crumpled credit card statement. The paper rustled like autumn leaves as she read the charges again. Charges from hotels she'd never visited, restaurants where she'd never dined, all dated during Vernon's supposed hardware convention last month. But it wasn't the unauthorized spending that made her blood run cold. It was the handwriting on the memo line of one receipt, carelessly left in Vernon's jacket pocket. "Thanks for everything, V. Can't wait for next time. B for Bethany, their trusted babysitter." The morning had started like any other Tuesday. Dolores had woken at 6:30, made coffee in the same percolator she'd used for 20 years, and begun sorting laundry while Vernon slept in. Unusual for him, but she'd thought nothing of it. October's chill had finally settled over their suburban Ohio neighborhood, painting the maple trees in their front yard brilliant shades of gold and crimson. She'd been humming an old hymn, thinking about what to make for Hazel's visit that afternoon, when she'd reached into Vernon's jacket pocket to check for forgotten tissues or receipts before washing. 25 years of marriage had taught her to always check pockets. 25 years of trust made her wish she hadn't. The credit card statement had been folded twice, hidden beneath a hardware store inventory list. The charges went back 3 months, exactly when Bethany had started babysitting Hazel more frequently, claiming her college schedule had become more flexible. Dolores sank into a kitchen chair, her mind racing through memories with new, painful clarity. Vernon's sudden interest in his appearance, the new cologne, the unexplained overtime hours that never showed on his paycheck, and Bethany, sweet, helpful Bethany, with her sympathetic smiles and eager offers to help. Just last week, she'd stayed late to help Vernon fix the garage door, while Dolores was at her book club. The girl had even brought homemade cookies for Hazel, decorated with the child's favorite cartoon characters.
How could I have been so blind?
The sound of footsteps upstairs made Dolores quickly fold the statement and slip it into her apron pocket. Vernon was awake. She heard the familiar creak of the third stair from the top, the one they'd been meaning to fix for 5 years. Her hands moved automatically, pouring coffee into his favorite mug, the one Nadine had made in high school ceramics class, slightly lopsided but treasured. Vernon appeared in the doorway, his hair still mussed from sleep. At 54, he still had most of it, though silver now dominated the brown. He'd gained weight around his middle, what he jokingly called his hardware store spread, but Dolores had never minded. She'd loved him through all his changes. Until now.
"Morning, hun. Coffee smells good."
He kissed her cheek, a gesture so routine it had become meaningless, like signing a receipt without reading it. Dolores forced herself not to flinch. The scent of his aftershave, the new, expensive kind, not the Old Spice he'd worn for decades, made her stomach turn.
"Morning, I'm doing laundry today. Your blue jacket needs cleaning."
She watched his face carefully. There, a flicker of something. Panic? Guilt? It passed so quickly she might have imagined it.
"Oh, I'll take care of it. Got a few things in the pockets I need to sort through. Work stuff."
Already emptied them. Just some receipts and inventory lists. I put them on your desk.
This time the panic was unmistakable. Vernon's coffee mug paused halfway to his lips.
"You didn't need to do that. Where exactly did you put them?"
In your inbox tray, like always. Why? Something important?
She kept her voice level, drawing on years of managing difficult patrons at the library. Vernon's shoulders relaxed slightly.
"No, just making sure I don't lose track of things. You know how scattered I've been lately. The store's been crazy with the season changes."
The lie rolled off his tongue so easily. How many others had she believed? Dolores turned back to the stove, cracking eggs into a pan with unnecessary force. One yolk broke, bleeding yellow across the white. The doorbell rang, saving them both from further conversation. Through the kitchen window, Dolores could see Nadine's beat-up Honda Civic in the driveway. Her daughter looked exhausted, still in her hospital scrubs from the night shift. Hazel bounced excitedly in her car seat, her small hands pressed against the window.
"I'll get it. Finish your breakfast."
But Dolores was already moving, needing to see her daughter and granddaughter, needing something pure and untainted by betrayal. She reached the door first, Vernon hovering behind her like a guilty shadow. Nadine stood on the porch, Hazel on her hip despite the child being old enough to walk. Dark circles shadowed Nadine's eyes, and her ponytail was askew. At 28, she looked older, worn down by divorce, single motherhood, and double shifts at the hospital.
Mom, I'm so sorry to drop her early, but they called me in for a staff meeting. Mandatory. I know Bethany usually doesn't come until noon.
Bethany won't be watching Hazel anymore.
The words came out sharper than intended. Nadine blinked in surprise, and behind Dolores, Vernon made a strangled sound.
What? Why? Did something happen? Hazel loves her.
Where's Miss Beth? She promised to paint my nails purple today.
The 3-year-old's voice was high and clear, her dark eyes, Eddie's eyes, unfortunately, wide with disappointment. Dolores's heart cracked a little more. Even Hazel had been pulled into whatever web Bethany was weaving.
Miss Beth is busy with college. Grandma will paint your nails, sweetheart. We'll make it extra special.
Lori, let's not make any hasty decisions. Bethany's been wonderful with Hazel.
Dolores turned to look at her husband, really look at him. The man who'd held her hand through her mother's death, who'd danced with her at Nadine's wedding, who'd cried when Hazel was born. The man who was now defending his 22-year-old mistress in their own doorway.
We'll discuss it later, Vernon. Nadine, go to your meeting. Hazel will be fine with us.
Nadine hesitated, clearly sensing the tension that crackled between her parents like a downed power line. But the exhaustion won.
Okay. I'll be back by 3, 4 at the latest. Hazel, be good for Grandma and Grandpa. Mommy loves you.
She kissed Hazel's forehead and handed her over to Dolores, along with a diaper bag that had seen better days. The zipper was held together with a safety pin, another thing Dolores had offered to replace, another offer Nadine had proudly refused. After Nadine drove away, Dolores carried Hazel into the living room, Vernon trailing behind. Hazel immediately went to her special corner, where Dolores kept a basket of toys just for her visits. The child pulled out a well-worn stuffed elephant and began having an animated conversation with it, lost in her 3-year-old world. Vernon stood in the doorway, his hands shoved in his pockets, the same pockets that had hidden evidence of his betrayal.
Lori, we need to talk about this Bethany situation. You can't just fire her without discussing it with me. Or Nadine.
The Bethany situation? Is that what we're calling it?
She kept her voice low, mindful of Hazel, but each word was precise, cutting.
I don't know what you think you know.
I know enough. I know about the hotel charges, the restaurants. I know about B.
Vernon's face drained of color. He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again like a landed fish gasping for air. In the corner, Hazel began singing a song Bethany had taught her, something about butterflies and wishes. Before Vernon could formulate whatever excuse or denial was forming behind his panicked eyes, Dolores's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. She almost ignored it, but something made her look. The message contained a single photo. Vernon and Bethany at what looked like a park, his arm around her waist, her head on his shoulder. They were both smiling, looking at something off camera, looking at whoever had taken the picture. The timestamp showed last Tuesday, when Vernon had claimed to be at inventory. A second text followed. Your husband isn't the only one she's playing. Check your daughter's custody case. Check your bank accounts. Check everything. A friend. Dolores's hand trembled as she looked up at Vernon, who was now watching her with genuine fear in his eyes.
How much have you told her about us? About our family?
Lori, I can explain.
Grandma, why are you sad? Did Grandpa do something bad?
The innocent question hung in the air like a judgment. Dolores looked at her granddaughter's concerned face, so trusting, so vulnerable. Whatever was happening, whatever Bethany was planning, Hazel was at the center of it. And Dolores would protect her, even if it meant burning everything else to the ground. She stood, pocketing her phone with its damning evidence and mysterious warning. There would be time for tears later, time for rage and recrimination. But now, she had work to do. She had a family to save, even if that family was already broken beyond repair. Outside, The maple trees continued their slow surrender to autumn, leaves falling like secrets finally exposed to light. 2 weeks had passed since Dolores discovered the receipt. 2 weeks of pretending everything was normal, while her world tilted off its axis. Halloween decorations now lined Maple Grove Lane, plastic skeletons, and inflatable ghosts marking homes where trust still lived intact. The Hutchinson house remained undecorated, though Dolores had bought candy for trick-or-treaters out of habit. She sat at the kitchen table, surrounded by bank statements, phone records, and printed emails, evidence she'd gathered with the methodical patience of a librarian researching a particularly elusive reference. Vernon had left for work an hour ago, after another breakfast of stilted conversation and avoided eye contact. He'd stopped trying to explain, stopped trying to touch her. They moved around each other like repelling magnets, occupying the same space but never connecting. The mysterious texts had continued, always from different numbers, always untraceable. Check the education fund. Look at September 15th. Ask Nadine about the apartment inspection. Each message a breadcrumb leading deeper into Bethany's deception. The education fund had been the worst discovery. $3,000, withdrawn in small increments over 2 months. The account Dolores had opened when Hazel was born, where she deposited $20 every week from her library wages. Money for Hazel's future. Stolen $50 and $100 at a time. Vernon's name was on the account too. It had seemed natural at the time. Husband and wife saving for their granddaughter together. Dolores picked up her phone and dialed Nadine's number. Her daughter answered on the third ring, sounding breathless.
Mom, is everything okay? Is Hazel?
Hazel's fine. She's napping. Nadine, we need to talk about Bethany.
A pause, then a sigh.
Mom, I know you fired her without asking me, but I rehired her. I need her. You don't understand how hard it is.
You rehired her? When?
Last week. She came to me crying, said there was some misunderstanding. Mom, she's been amazing. She even helped me organize all my documentation for the custody hearing next month. Eddie's pushing for 50-50 custody, and Bethany found this great lawyer who...
Bethany found you a lawyer?
Dolores' stomach dropped. Another thread in the web.
Well, recommended. She knows someone from college whose mom is a family lawyer. She's giving me a discount. Mom, why are you being so weird about this? Bethany's been nothing but helpful.
Has she been in your apartment? Alone?
Of course. She babysits there sometimes when I work doubles. Mom, what is this about?
Dolores heard a door open in the background, muffled voices.
Actually, she just arrived. She's taking Hazel to the park so I can sleep before my shift. Do you want to talk to her?
No, Nadine, listen to me. Don't leave Hazel alone with...
The line went dead. Dolores immediately called back, but it went straight to voicemail. Her hands shook as she typed a text. Please call me. Important about Bethany. Please. The doorbell rang, sharp and sudden. Dolores wasn't expecting anyone. Through the peephole, she saw a man in a cheap suit holding a folder. Her heart sank.
Mrs. Hutchinson, I have documents for you regarding the custody case of Hazel Kowalski.
Dolores signed for the papers with numb fingers. Eddie was requesting sworn depositions from both grandparents regarding Nadine's fitness as a mother. The documents cited specific incidents. October 3rd, when Hazel was allegedly left unsupervised. October 12th, when she arrived at daycare with unexplained bruises. October 18th, when Nadine allegedly appeared intoxicated during pickup. All dates when Bethany had been babysitting. All lies, but documented somehow, somewhere. Dolores was still staring at the papers when her phone buzzed. Another unknown number. This time, instead of text, there was a voice message. She pressed play with trembling fingers.
Hi, Mrs. H. It's Bethany. I think we've been having some misunderstandings lately, and I'd really love to clear the air. I care so much about your family, especially little Hazel. Maybe we could meet for coffee? Just the two of us? I think you'd be surprised how much we have in common. Oh, and Vernon doesn't need to know. This can be our little secret. Call me back at this number. Bye.
The cheerful tone made Dolores' skin crawl. She saved the message, evidence, then noticed something else. Her laptop, closed this morning, was now slightly open. Someone had been in the house. She ran upstairs to their bedroom, yanking open Vernon's nightstand drawer. His passport was there, but hers was gone. The emergency cash they kept, $500, also missing. Back downstairs, she checked the folder where they kept important documents. The deed to the house was there, but their marriage certificate was gone. Their social security cards, gone. Why would someone take those specific documents? Her phone rang. Vernon's work number.
Lori, thank God. I just got a call from the bank. Someone tried to open a credit card in your name. They're freezing all our accounts pending investigation. What the hell is going on?
Come home now.
I can't just leave.
Vernon, someone was in our house. Documents are missing. And I just found out Bethany is still watching Hazel. So you can either come home now or you can come home to divorce papers. Your choice.
She hung up before he could respond. 20 minutes later, she heard his truck in the driveway. He burst through the door, face flushed, breathing hard.
Lori, I swear I didn't know she was still babysitting. I told her it was over. I ended it.
When?
2 weeks ago, right after you confronted me. I met her at the coffee shop and told her we couldn't see each other anymore.
And what did she say?
Vernon sank into a chair, suddenly looking all of his 54 years.
She laughed. She said I didn't understand what was happening, that it was bigger than just us. Lori, I think she recorded us. Everything. She has videos, audio recordings. She said if I didn't help her, she'd make sure I lost everything. My job, my family, everything.
Help her with what?
She wants... God, this sounds insane. She wants to be part of the family. Permanently. She said Nadine needs a better support system for Hazel, someone younger who understands modern parenting. She thinks you're too old-fashioned, too controlling. She wants to prove you're unfit grandparents so that when Eddie gets partial custody, she can be Hazel's official guardian during his time.
The pieces clicked into place with sickening clarity. This wasn't just about money or an affair. Bethany was trying to insert herself into their family, to replace Dolores entirely.
She's been planning this from the beginning. Every babysitting session, every helpful gesture. Vernon, what did you tell her about us? About our finances, our plans?
Vernon's silence was answer enough. Dolores stood, pacing to the window. Outside, the maple tree's remaining leaves clung desperately to branches, fighting the inevitable.
She was so easy to talk to. She listened like you used to, before we got old and tired and stopped really seeing each other. I told her about the retirement fund, about the house being paid off next year, about Nadine's custody battle. I thought I was just venting to a friend.
A friend you were sleeping with.
It only happened twice, I swear. Both times I was drunk and she knew exactly what to say, what to do, like she'd studied me.
Dolores's phone buzzed. Another message from the unknown number, this time with an attachment. She opened it to find a video file. Her finger hovered over the play button, afraid of what she'd see. She pressed it. The video showed Bethany in what looked like Nadine's apartment, Hazel on her lap. They were looking at a photo album.
And who's this, sweetheart?
That's Grandma Lori. She's old.
That's right. And sometimes old people get confused, don't they? Sometimes they forget things or say things that aren't true.
Like when Grandma said you couldn't babysit anymore?
Exactly like that. But we know better, don't we? We know who really takes care of you.
The video ended. Dolores felt rage building in her chest, hot and volcanic. This 22-year-old girl was poisoning her granddaughter against her, turning Hazel into a weapon in whatever sick game she was playing. Her phone rang. Nadine.
Mom, what did you say to Bethany? She's crying. She says you've been spreading lies about her, that you're trying to ruin her reputation at college. She's threatening to quit, and I can't lose her. Mom, I need help, not more problems.
Nadine, sweetheart, listen very carefully. Has Bethany ever asked you to sign anything? Any papers at all?
Just some emergency contact forms for Hazel, in case something happened while I was at work. Mom, You're scaring me.
Bring Hazel here right now. Don't tell Bethany where you're going.
I can't. I'm at work, and Bethany has her at the park. Mom, please, just apologize to her. Whatever you think she did.
A knock at the door interrupted. Through the window, Dolores could see Bethany standing on the porch, holding Hazel's hand. The young woman was smiling, but her eyes were cold, calculating. She'd timed this perfectly, knowing Nadine would call, knowing exactly where everyone would be. Hazel waved enthusiastically through the window, oblivious to the danger standing beside her. Bethany lifted her free hand and waved too, her smile widening as she met Dolores's eyes through the glass. The message was clear. Your move. Thanksgiving arrived with unseasonable warmth, the November afternoon stretching golden across Westerville, as if nature itself was in denial about the coming winter. Dolores stood in her kitchen, basting the turkey with mechanical precision, while her mind churned through the events of the past 2 weeks. Since that day, Bethany had appeared on her porch with Hazel. Everything had accelerated into a nauseating spiral. The young woman had been brazen, walking right into their home as if she belonged there, settling Hazel in front of cartoons before cornering Dolores in the kitchen. The conversation still made Dolores's hands shake when she remembered it. I know you know, Bethany had said simply, helping herself to coffee from Dolores's own pot. And I know you're smart enough to understand that fighting me will only hurt Hazel. So here's what's going to happen. The terms had been delivered with corporate efficiency. Bethany would continue as Hazel's babysitter. Vernon would co-sign a loan for her to finish college. Dolores would support Nadine, giving Bethany temporary guardianship rights, just for emergencies. And in return, the recordings would stay private. The custody battle would go Nadine's way, and the family would remain intact. On the surface, Dolores had agreed. What choice did she have? But she'd also started her own investigation, spending her library lunch breaks researching Bethany Ann Morse with the thoroughness of an academic preparing a dissertation. Now, as family gathered for Thanksgiving dinner, Dolores watched Bethany move through her house like she owned it, helping set the table, pouring Vernon's wine, cutting Hazel's turkey into perfect bite-sized pieces. Nadine beamed at her, grateful for the help. Even Eddie, who'd been invited in a show of family unity for the custody case, seemed charmed by the helpful young woman. Only Dolores saw the performance for what it was.
Mom, the turkey is perfect. You've outdone yourself.
Nadine looked better than she had in months. The dark circles faded, her smile genuine. The custody mediation had gone surprisingly well. Eddie had suddenly become reasonable, agreeing to maintain Nadine as primary caregiver with generous visitation for himself. Nadine attributed it to her new lawyer's skill. Dolores knew better.
Yeah, Mrs. H, everything's great. Thanks for having me. I know things have been complicated.
Eddie Kowalski was 31, still boyishly handsome in the way that had swept Nadine off her feet at 19 and broken her heart at 26. His construction job had given him muscles and a tan, but his eyes remained shifty, never quite meeting anyone's gaze directly, except Bethany's. Dolores had noticed them exchanging looks all afternoon.
Hazel, sweetie, show everyone the picture you drew at preschool.
Hazel proudly held up a crayon drawing of her family. There was Mommy with her stethoscope, Grandpa with his hammer, Grandma with her books, and in the middle, holding Hazel's hand, a figure with long blonde hair labeled Bethy.
Miss Beth helped me write the names. She says she's like my special auntie now.
That's nice, sweetheart.
Vernon's voice cracked slightly. He'd been drinking steadily since noon, unusual for him. The weight of his secret, of what they were all pretending not to know, was crushing him in ways Bethany's actual blackmail couldn't. Dolores felt a twist of savage satisfaction. Let him suffer. Her phone vibrated. Another message from her mysterious helper, who she'd begun thinking of as guardian angel. This time it was an address. 427 College Avenue, apartment 3B. Bethany's apartment. And a time, 3 a.m. tonight. Dolores excused herself to the bathroom, locking the door before typing back. Why are you helping me? The response was immediate. Because she destroyed my family, too. Check the Zanesville newspapers 3 years ago. Morrison family. Before Dolores could search, Nadine knocked on the door.
Mom, you okay? We're about to do the wishbone.
Just a minute, sweetheart.
Dolores quickly searched Morrison Family Zanesville 2021. The results made her stomach drop. Local family destroyed by nanny's deception. Young woman charged with identity theft, forgery. Morrison divorce finalized after nanny scandal. The photos showed a younger Bethany, hair dyed black then, but the same calculating eyes. She'd worked for the Morrison family for 8 months before being discovered. The charges had been dropped when key evidence mysteriously disappeared. The family had imploded anyway. Divorce, custody battle, bankruptcy. The pattern was clear. Bethany was a parasite, moving from family to family, destroying them from within. And now she'd chosen the Hutchinsons. Dolores returned to the dining room to find Bethany helping Hazel with the wishbone.
Make a wish, sweetheart, but don't tell anyone or it won't come true.
The tiny bone snapped, the larger piece in Hazel's hand. The child squealed with delight, clutching her prize. Bethany caught Dolores's eye and winked. The message was clear. She held the larger piece of their family's wishbone, too. After dinner, as everyone dozed through football in the living room, Dolores found herself alone with Bethany on the back deck. The younger woman was smoking, something Dolores had never seen her do before.
The mask slips a little when the audience can't see, doesn't it? You should try it sometime, Dolores. Must be exhausting being perfect all the time.
I know about the Morrison family.
Bethany's hand paused midway to her mouth, the cigarette trembling slightly. Then she laughed, a sound like breaking glass.
The Morrisons were amateurs, kept everything in one safe, used the same password for everything, their anniversary date. They practically begged to be robbed. You're smarter, I'll give you that, but you're also older, more set in your ways, harder to change.
What happened to you? What made you this way?
Oh, are we doing the tragic backstory moment? Fine. Dad left when I was 7. Mom chose pills over me by the time I was 12. Foster care until 18. College on loans I'll never pay back? You want to psychoanalyze me, librarian? I learned early that families are just people playing pretend. Might as well get paid for the performance.
For a moment, Dolores saw something real in Bethany's eyes. Pain, loneliness, a desperate hunger that no amount of stolen money or fake relationships could fill. Then it was gone, replaced by the cold calculation.
But here's the thing, Dolores. I actually like Hazel. She's sweet, uncomplicated. She deserves better than this mess of a family. Nadine's one bad shift away from a breakdown. Eddie's already shopping for a younger model. Vernon's so desperate for validation he'd fuck anyone who pretended to admire his knowledge of drill bits. And you're so busy being the perfect grandmother you never noticed your family falling apart until I showed you the cracks.
You didn't show me anything. You caused it.
Did I? Was I there when Vernon started feeling invisible? When Nadine chose Eddie despite everyone warning her? When you stopped seeing your husband as a man and started seeing him as furniture? I'm just capitalizing on existing market conditions.
Before Dolores could respond, the sliding door opened. Eddie stepped out, his movements slightly unsteady from beer.
Beth, you ready? I should get you home before it gets too late.
The familiarity in his voice set off every alarm in Dolores's head. Bethany stood, flicking her cigarette into the yard with casual disregard.
Thanks, Eddie. Mrs. H, thanks for dinner. Everything was perfect, as always.
After they left, together, in Eddie's truck, a detail that made Dolores's mind race, she helped Nadine get a sleepy Hazel ready for bed. Her daughter was humming, happier than Dolores had seen her in months.
Mom, I'm so grateful for today. For everything. Having Eddie here. Seeing him with Hazel, and Bethany being so amazing with everyone. I feel like maybe we can make this work, you know? Like a modern family. Not together, but cooperative. Bethany says.
Nadine, how much do you really know about Bethany?
Mom, not this again. She's been nothing but helpful. She even offered to watch Hazel for free next week so I can pick up extra shifts. With the holidays coming.
She's not doing anything for free. Everything has a price.
Nadine's face hardened, and for a moment, Dolores saw Eddie's influence in her expression. The quick temper, the defensive stance.
Just because Dad made a mistake doesn't mean Bethany's evil. Yeah, I know about it. Bethany told me everything. How Dad came on to her. How she rejected him. How you blamed her instead of him. It's not the 1950s anymore, Mom. Women don't have to tear each other down.
The words hit Dolores like physical blows. Bethany had anticipated this, had already poisoned that well too. Every move Dolores might make had been countered before she could make it. After Nadine left with Hazel, Dolores found Vernon passed out in his recliner, the TV playing a rerun of some home renovation show. She covered him with a blanket, habit more than kindness, and prepared for what came next. At 2:45 a.m., she slipped out of the house and drove to 427 College Avenue. The building was typical student housing, rundown, poorly lit, reeking of pizza and pot. Apartment 3B's door was slightly open. Inside, a woman waited. Mid-30s, professionally dressed despite the hour, with tired eyes and prematurely gray streaks in her brown hair.
Mrs. Hutchinson, I'm Diana Morrison. We need to talk about Bethany Morse, and we need to move fast. She's planning something bigger than what she did to my family. Your granddaughter isn't just leverage. She's the prize.
Diana handed Dolores a folder, thick with documents, photos, and what looked like medical records. On top was a photograph that made Dolores's blood run cold. Bethany, at what appeared to be a courthouse, signing papers, with Eddie beside her. The date stamp was yesterday. Below it, a marriage certificate. The 15th of December arrived with the first real snowfall of winter, thick flakes that covered Westerville's sins in pristine white. Dolores sat in Diana Morrison's apartment, surrounded by evidence they'd compiled over the past 2 weeks. A paper fortress against Bethany's digital warfare. The marriage certificate had been just the beginning. Eddie and Bethany's courthouse wedding was strategic brilliance. As Hazel's stepmother, Bethany now had legal standing in the custody arrangement. The emergency contact forms Nadine had signed suddenly took on new meaning. They were provisional guardianship papers, giving Bethany decision-making authority whenever Nadine was unavailable. Which, given her 12-hour nursing shifts, was often. But Diana had found something else, something that changed everything. She's done this before. Diana spread out newspaper clippings from Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee. Different names, same pattern. Sarah Mills, Rebecca Carter, Beth Anderson. Always young women with tragic backstories, always targeting families with vulnerable grandchildren, always disappearing when things got too hot. The photos showed the same calculating eyes, though hair color and style changed. What remained consistent was the method: infiltrate, destabilize, acquire legal standing, then either extort or destroy.
But here's what I don't understand. She's never married into a family before. That's new, risky. Marriage creates legal records harder to disappear from.
Unless she's not planning to disappear. Unless this time she wants to stay.
The thought had been haunting Dolores since Thanksgiving. Something about how Bethany had looked at Hazel, the genuine affection mixed with the calculation. This wasn't just another mark. This was something more dangerous. Bethany actually wanted to be Hazel's mother. Her phone buzzed. Vernon, texting for the 5th time that morning. "Where are you? Nadine's here. She's hysterical." Dolores stood, gathering the most crucial documents.
I have to go, but Diana, we need to move tonight. If we wait any longer...
I'll be ready. I've already contacted the detective who worked my case. He's very interested in Bethany's pattern. Or should I say Sarah Rebecca Mills Carter Anderson Morse Kowalski S pattern.
Dolores drove home through the thickening snow, her windshield wipers struggling against the accumulation. The house looked different somehow, as if the snow had transformed it into something from a fairy tale. But fairy tales had witches, too. Inside, she found chaos. Nadine was sobbing on the couch, while Vernon paced frantically. Hazel was nowhere to be seen.
She took her. That bitch took my baby.
Nadine, calm down. Who took Hazel?
Bethany. She picked her up from daycare. Said I'd asked her to, but I didn't. And Eddie won't answer his phone. And the daycare said she had paperwork, official documents saying she was authorized.
The papers Nadine signed. Bethany must have used them.
Vernon looked terrible, unshaven, his clothes rumpled. The secret-keeping had been eating him alive, And now his worst fears were manifesting.
She hasn't taken her. She's establishing precedent, showing she has rights. Where would Eddie be right now?
I don't know. His apartment, maybe. Or, oh God, what if they've left town? What if...
Dolores's phone rang. Unknown number. She answered on speaker.
Hi, Dolores. Just wanted to let you know Hazel's fine. We're having a lovely stepmommy-daughter day. Eddie's here, too. We're decorating our Christmas tree at our new place. Didn't Eddie tell you? We got a house. Perfect for raising Hazel when we have our custody time.
You bitch, bring back my daughter.
Our daughter, legally speaking. Well, yours and Eddie's and mine. Modern families are so complicated, aren't they? Anyway, we'll have her back by bedtime. Unless, of course, you want to make this difficult. Eddie's been documenting some concerning things. Nadine's emotional instability, Vernon's drinking problem, Dolores's paranoid behavior. Judges don't like that.
The line went dead. Nadine turned to her parents, her face twisted with rage and betrayal.
Dad's drinking problem. Mom's paranoid behavior. What have you been hiding from me?
Nadine, it's not what you think.
Then what is it? Because Bethany just told me Dad tried to assault her, and Mom's been stalking her, and now suddenly she's married to Eddie and has rights to my daughter. What the hell is happening?
Dolores made a decision. The truth, finally.
Sit down, both of you. I'm going to tell you everything, and then we're going to get Hazel back.
She laid it all out. The affair, the blackmail, the Morrison family, Diana's investigation, the pattern of destruction Bethany had left across 3 states. Nadine's face went through a kaleidoscope of emotions. Disbelief, rage, disgust, and finally, a cold determination that reminded Dolores why her daughter had survived single motherhood.
So she planned this from the beginning, the moment she answered my babysitting ad.
Before that, probably, she researches families, finds vulnerabilities. We were perfect, struggling single mother, grandparents with marriage issues, contentious divorce, vulnerable child.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I destroyed everything.
Vernon was crying now, ugly sobs that shook his whole body. Dolores felt nothing, no sympathy, no satisfaction, just empty space where love used to live.
We need to call the police.
With what evidence? She's Hazel's stepmother. She has legal paperwork. We have theories and circumstantial evidence. No, we need to be smarter.
Her phone buzzed. Diana had sent a message. Found something. Bethany's not 22. She's 28. And she had a child, a daughter. Died at age 3 in a fire while Bethany was working as a nanny. Ruled accidental, but questions were raised. The pieces clicked into place with horrifying clarity. Hazel was 3. Blonde hair like the child Bethany had lost. The obsession wasn't about money or destroying families. It was about replacement. Bethany was trying to rebuild what she'd lost, using other people's children. Another text from Diana. Police are interested, but we need her to admit something, anything on record. Dolores stood, a plan forming.
Nadine, call Eddie. Beg him to bring Hazel back. Cry, plead, whatever it takes. Keep them on the phone. Vernon, you're going to call Bethany and tell her you want to see her. Tell her you've left me, that you choose her.
Lori, I can't.
Yes, you can. You started this, you'll help end it. I'm going to their house. Diana and her detective will meet me there.
Mom, that's dangerous.
Everything about this has been dangerous. We just didn't see it until now.
An hour later, Dolores stood outside a small rental house on the outskirts of town, snow falling steadily. Through the window, she could see the Christmas tree, Hazel placing an ornament while Bethany guided her hand. It looked perfect, domestic, normal. Diana's car pulled up, followed by an unmarked police vehicle. Detective Chen, who'd worked the Morrison case, nodded to Dolores.
We can't go in without cause. But if she admits to the identity theft, the previous cases, anything.
Vernon's car pulled into the driveway. He'd actually come. Dolores watched him walk to the door, saw Bethany open it, saw her smile brilliantly and pull him inside. Through the window, she watched Bethany kiss Vernon, while Hazel watched from the couch, confused. Then Eddie appeared, his face angry, gesturing. An argument erupted. Dolores could see Hazel starting to cry, reaching for her father, but Bethany held her back. That was enough.
She's restraining the child against her will.
That's thin.
It's enough.
Dolores didn't wait for permission. She marched to the door and knocked firmly. When Bethany opened it, her smile was triumphant.
Dolores, come to join our little family gathering.
I've come for my granddaughter.
Our granddaughter, Vernon's and mine. Isn't that right, V?
But Vernon had moved to Hazel, picking her up despite Bethany's protest. His face was set with determination Dolores hadn't seen in years.
It's over, Bethany. Or should I call you Sarah? Rebecca, what name were you using when your daughter died?
The mask finally slipped. Bethany's face contorted with rage and pain so raw it was almost unbearable to witness.
You don't say her name. You don't know anything about her.
Her name was Lily. She was 3. She died in a fire at the Patterson house where you were the nanny. You were supposed to be watching her, but you were busy seducing Mr. Patterson.
Bethany lunged at Dolores, but Eddie caught her, holding her back. His face showed dawning horror as he realized who he'd married.
Jesus Christ, Beth, what did you do?
I gave her everything. I was a perfect mother. But they took her from me, said I was unfit, too young, so I had to work for other people, raise their children while mine was in foster care. And then the fire? It wasn't my fault. I loved her. I love Hazel.
Ms. Morse, or whatever your legal name is, we need you to come with us.
The detective had entered during the confession, Diana behind him, recording everything on her phone. Bethany looked around at the closing circle, her kingdom of lies collapsing.
I just wanted a family, a real family. Is that so wrong?
Not like this, never like this.
As the police led Bethany away, she turned back one last time. The calculating mask was completely gone, leaving only a broken young woman who'd lost everything and tried to steal it back from others.
Take care of her, Dolores. Hazel, she's special. She deserves better than all of this.
Then she was gone, the snow already covering her footprints, as if she'd never existed at all. 3 months had passed since Bethany's arrest, and January's bitter cold seemed appropriate for the emotional winter the Hutchinson family endured. Dolores stood in the county courthouse, watching as Bethany, whose legal name turned out to be Rebecca Sarah Mills, was sentenced to 3 years for identity theft, fraud, and child endangerment across multiple states. It wasn't enough, but it was something. The young woman looked smaller in her orange jumpsuit, her blonde hair grown out to show dark roots. She didn't look at anyone during the sentencing, keeping her eyes fixed on her folded hands. When the judge asked if she had anything to say, she simply shook her head. Outside the courthouse, Diana Morrison waited with her husband. They'd reconciled after learning the truth about Bethany's manipulations. Seeing them together, healing, gave Dolores a flicker of hope she didn't quite trust. The drive home was silent. Vernon sat in the passenger seat. He'd been sober for 2 months now, attending AA meetings in the basement of First Methodist. Their marriage was another matter. They still lived in the same house, slept in separate rooms, moved around each other like careful strangers. The divorce papers sat unsigned on Dolores's dresser, neither of them quite ready to take that final step. When they arrived home, they found Nadine's car in the driveway. She was in the kitchen with Hazel, making cookies, a Saturday tradition Dolores had started and Nadine had revived. The little girl ran to Dolores, flour in her hair, chocolate on her face.
Grandma, we're making your special cookies. Mommy says we can take some to Miss Janet at the library.
Hazel had bounced back with the resilience only children possess. She rarely mentioned Miss Beth anymore, though sometimes she'd ask why she couldn't visit her at her new house. They'd told her Bethany had to go away for work, far away. Someday they'd have to tell her the truth, but not yet. Nadine looked up from the mixing bowl, her expression carefully neutral. The past 3 months had aged her, but also strengthened her. She'd won full custody of Hazel. Eddie's marriage to Bethany had destroyed any credibility he had in court. He'd moved to Columbus, sending checks, but keeping his distance, ashamed of his role in nearly losing his daughter.
The sentencing went okay.
3 years. She'll probably be out in 18 months.
And then?
Restraining orders are in place. She can't come within 500 feet of any of us.
Vernon excused himself, heading to his workshop in the garage, his new sanctuary where he restored old furniture, hands busy while his mind processed the wreckage of his choices. The sound of sandpaper on wood had become the soundtrack of their evenings. After Hazel went down for her nap, Nadine and Dolores sat at the kitchen table, the same table where everything had unraveled 3 months ago.
Mom, I've been offered a promotion. Day shift supervisor, better hours, better pay. But it's at Cleveland Clinic. I'd have to move.
The words hung between them. Cleveland was 2 hours away, not impossible, but far enough to change everything.
That's wonderful, sweetheart. You deserve this.
Come with us.
Dolores hadn't expected that.
I'm serious. You and Dad, whatever you decide about your marriage, you don't have to stay here. The library has branches in Cleveland. You could transfer, start fresh, all of us.
And your father?
That's between you two. But Mom, this house, this town, it's all poison now. Every corner has a memory of her, of what happened. Hazel needs to grow up somewhere clean.
Before Dolores could respond, her phone rang. Unknown number. Her heart rate spiked. Even after everything, unknown numbers still triggered panic. But she answered.
Mrs. Hutchinson, this is Jennifer Patterson from Indianapolis. I hired Bethany Morse as a nanny 6 months before she came to you. I just heard about the trial. There's something you need to know.
Dolores put the phone on speaker, gesturing for Nadine to listen.
She had a partner, someone who helped her choose families, did research, created fake references. A man. She called him her insurance policy. Mrs. Hutchinson, I think he's still out there.
The kitchen suddenly felt cold. Dolores thought of all the mysterious texts from her guardian angel, the convenient evidence, the perfect timing of revelations. Even Diana Morrison's appearance seemed orchestrated now.
Did you ever see him? Do you know his name?
Only once, from behind. Tall, thin, walked with a slight limp. Bethany said he was her uncle, but the way they acted, I don't think that was true.
A slight limp. Dolores's blood ran cold. Mr. Harrison, the new reference librarian, who'd started 2 months before Bethany appeared. He'd been so helpful, so interested in hearing about her family, especially her granddaughter. He'd resigned suddenly last month, claiming a family emergency. The pieces fell into place with sickening clarity. They'd been watching the Watchers, playing all sides. Bethany might be in prison, but the game wasn't over.
Mom, you're scaring me. What is it?
Pack your things, you and Hazel, right now. We're leaving for Cleveland today.
What's going on?
Vernon stood in the doorway, sawdust in his hair, concern creasing his face. Despite everything, despite the betrayal and broken trust, Dolores felt a flicker of the old protective instinct.
Vernon, we need to leave, all of us, now. Bethany had a partner, and I think he's been here all along.
Vernon's face went pale, but he nodded. No questions, no arguments. The crisis had stripped away all pretense between them, leaving only the bare bones of what they'd been. Partners, if not lovers. They packed quickly, efficiently, taking only essentials. As they loaded the cars, Dolores noticed a sedan parked down the street, engine running, windows tinted. It had been there when they'd arrived home. She pulled out her phone and dialed Detective Chen.
Detective, we have a problem. Bethany had a partner. He might be watching us right now.
Where are you?
Home, but we're leaving.
Stay put. Units are on the way.
But Dolores knew they couldn't wait. Every instinct screamed danger. She turned to Vernon and Nadine.
We leave now. Vernon, you take Nadine and Hazel in your truck. I'll follow in my car. If that sedan follows, we go straight to the police station.
They pulled out of the driveway, Dolores watching her mirrors. The sedan didn't move. Maybe she was paranoid. Maybe 3 months of looking over her shoulder had broken something in her. Or maybe Bethany's partner was smarter than following them in broad daylight. At the police station, Detective Chen was waiting with Jennifer Patterson on video call. She'd brought photos, including one of Bethany with a man whose face was partially visible. Tall, thin, approximately 40 years old, and familiar. It wasn't Mr. Harrison. It was Dr. Marcus Fielding, the court-appointed child psychologist who'd evaluated Hazel during the custody dispute, the one who'd written the glowing report about Bethany's positive influence. He'd had access to everything: court records, psychological profiles, family histories. Detective Chen's expression was grim.
We've been looking into Dr. Fielding. His credentials are real, but his history is complicated. Lost his license in California 5 years ago for inappropriate relationships with clients' families. Changed his name, moved here, started over.
Where is he now?
That's what we're trying to determine. His apartment's empty, office cleared out. But Mrs. Hutchinson, we found something in Bethany's effects. Letters. Recent ones. From him.
The detective handed her a photocopy. The handwriting was neat, precise, clinical. "My dearest R, your sacrifice is temporary. The foundation we've built is solid. The grandmother suspects but can't prove. The family will fracture naturally. When you're released, Hazel will be 4, nearly 5. The perfect age to need a mother figure. I'll ensure the circumstances are right. Our family will be complete. Wait, watch, trust." Dolores felt sick. This wasn't over. It wouldn't be over in 18 months when Bethany was released. They were playing a long game, patient as spiders. But as she looked at her family, Vernon steady beside her despite everything, Nadine fierce with maternal protection, Hazel safe in her mother's arms, Dolores felt something harder than fear: determination. They would leave tonight. Cleveland, maybe further. New names if necessary. It wasn't the ending she'd wanted, running like refugees from their own lives. But it was survival. And sometimes that was victory enough. Later, as they drove through the night toward Cleveland, Hazel asleep in her car seat, Nadine asked the question Dolores had been dreading.
Will we ever be able to stop running?
Dolores glanced in the rearview mirror. No headlights following. But that didn't mean they weren't being watched.
I don't know, but we'll be together. That's what matters.
Lori's right. We made mistakes, all of us. But we're still a family. Broken, maybe, but not destroyed.
It was the first time Vernon had spoken directly about their situation in weeks. Dolores reached over and briefly touched his hand. Not forgiveness, not yet, but acknowledgement. They were in this together. As they crossed the county line, Dolores's phone buzzed. One final text from an unknown number. "You can run, but families always leave trails. See you soon. A friend." She deleted it without showing the others. Let them come. The Hutchinson family had survived Bethany Morse. They would survive whatever came next. The highway stretched ahead, dark and uncertain. But for the first time in months, Dolores felt something like hope. They were wounded but not broken, running but not defeated. And Hazel, innocent, precious Hazel, would grow up protected, even if that protection came at the cost of everything else they'd known. In the distance, Cleveland's lights began to appear. A new city, a new start. Behind them, Westerville and all its memories faded into darkness. The maple tree in their front yard would drop its leaves without them this year. Someone else would live in their house, walk their streets, shop at Vernon's hardware store. But they would be safe. They would be together. And in the end, that was the only victory that mattered.
Grandma, are we home yet?
The small voice from the back seat was sleepy, trusting.
Almost, sweetheart. We're almost home.
It wasn't quite a lie. Home wasn't a place anymore. It was the 4 of them, bound by blood and betrayal, secrets and sacrifice. Home was wherever they could keep Hazel safe from the shadows that still pursued them. The story wasn't over. Perhaps it never would be. But for tonight, speeding through the darkness toward uncertain sanctuary, they were together. And that was enough. Thank you for listening to Dolores' story. If this audiobook touched your heart, please subscribe and like this video to support more quality content. Share your thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one. Hit the bell for notifications about our next audiobook. See you in the next story.